Get off my lawn! But first, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you hit that notification button so that we get to annoy you every time we upload a video. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Old Cranky Man Collectibles YouTube channel. My name is Blake. I'm here with Stefan.
Indeed, you are here with Stefan. It's me.
Today we're watching some Canadian Highlander. At the top of your screen you have Ryan. He's playing Naya Midrange. This is a triple Mox birthing pod deck, very similar to the one that took down the OCM Canadian Highlander tournament a couple months back. And at the bottom of your screen you have Cameron playing Creamur.
Oh, baby.
Creamur's Jeskai Green.
Yeah.
One of the
color, no black.
One of the hallmark cards on the left there, Omnath, Locust of Creation.
Love that card. They sort of messed it up, right? Like, you can always tell when they edit a card later on Arena that it's like, especially if they make it worse. They're like, oh, sorry guys, we got that one wrong the first try.
Time to take it down a notch.
Point of fact about Ryan's deck, though, not only is it like one of the decks in the Canadian Highlander finals, it is like two of the decks from the Canadian
Yes, both decks.
Yeah,
both decks in the finals were Naya Midrange.
Take that, Ben Wheeler, saying Naya's bad. We're coming for you here. Listen, I understand it's a different meta, but Naya good. Naya real good.
Creamur's points. Creamur's points are Ancestral Recall, True Name Nemesis, Treasure Cruise, and Mana Drain. So, sorry, go ahead. Did you have something to say?
I don't remember. Go on.
So, while we were here recording this, I was talking to Cameron about Dig Through Time and how I think it's a terrible card and you shouldn't spend a point on it. And he was like, oh, cool, I'm going to put in this Mana Drain instead.
And?
He likes the Mana Drain.
I like Dig Through Time. I think it's good. I think contextually it can be very... I think it's good in a control deck. Like, if you have a good wind-up on it.
Yeah, my issue with Dig Through Time is that it's just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like to spend a point on it. I don't really like to put it in a deck. It's very reactive. You have to delve a whole bunch of cards. Just give me another copy of Counterspell. A lot of people look at a Mana Drain and they're like, well, I don't have anything to spend colorless mana on. That doesn't matter. Really powerful card at the top of your screen right there. Stoneforge Mystic's going to do a really good Ancestral Recall impression.
Yeah, what's he gonna get? Probably the Skull Clamp, right?
I don't know. In this situation, maybe Shadow Spear.
Oh yeah, another good. It's sort of like Skull Clamp, Shadow Spear, Lion Sash, contextually, right?
Just let him push through some damage. I'm not sure what other equipment he has. I do know he has the clamp and the spear. I believe he also has a Caldra Complete. I'm not 100% on that though.
Yeah, that's
so
great endgame strategy.
Ryan's deck, kind of a third variation of the Naya Midrange deck in this meta. So the other Ryan, playing the strictly aggressive Naya Midrange deck, and then you have Jacob, who's like the combo Naya Midrange deck, where he's got like the Kiki Jiki and stuff like that. And then other Ryan's list is like more like Naya and Taxes. So he has like Thalia, both Thalias. He's got Archon of Emeria, various. Yes, he does have Mother of Runes, Giver of Runes. So it's much lower to the ground. I really, really like this Ryan's Naya list quite a bit.
I feel like Mom is great if you want to push through damage. Like if you're not against a deck that with a lot of removal, it lets you like get through. It lets you retake the initiative if you lose it. The hallmark of all these Naya decks feels like the initiative is sort of like the main, not even the main game plan, but like it's the late game plan. Like
yeah. So I mean, it can also come down early, right? They've got all these Moxen that can just push out these 3-drops, these 4-drops on turn 2 or turn 3, before your opponent really has a chance to do anything.
Yeah, like any kind of control deck or tempo deck is going to struggle if Naya has sort of an explosive first turn or two.
So I got distracted. Back to Mana Drain. I think a lot of people look at a mana drain and they go, I can't spend that colorless mana on anything. So
Yeah.
so they just pass it by. Well, to me, that doesn't really matter. If you like to cast counterspell, if you think casting counterspell is good, then mana drain is just counterspell that occasionally has an upside.
I think the reason that people don't consider it as much, also, like, full honesty, I have literally had that conversation with myself where I'm like, man, I really like I like the idea of mana drain, but I got nothing big. Like, I got no X spells to cast that on. But yeah, I think you're 100% correct that
Yeah, I think people kind of get stuck in that little trap there. It's Mana Drain is an incredible card. A long time ago, someone asked me, "What do you think is the most powerful counterspell ever printed?" And this was in a room full of a bunch of blue legacy players, and probably way before Force of Negation was ever printed, so that wasn't even a consideration. And a lot of people went Force of Will, and I was like, Mana Drain, not even close.
yeah. Yeah, I think counterspell is sort of regarded as the best pound for pound like counterspell to me, like if you, for a fair cast. So we got a what is that, Brazen Borrower coming down?
Yeah, the Archon of Emeria hit the battlefield, and Cameron bounced it with a petty theft from his Brazen Borrower.
Great, honestly, great play from Ryan there. That is something I absolutely would have done because that staggers Cam on all of his resources as long as it stays in play. Like that fetch land would have come down and done literal nothing.
Yeah, these 3 drops that punish your opponent's mana base, like Thalia, like Archon of Emeria, very, very, very powerful in this format.
And also just good bodies. Like Thalia is Thalia not just because she has a taxation effect, but she's a body with first strike.
Yep, 3 power first striker, Archon of Emeria. It's got flying.
Exactly. That evasion, man. And Brazen Borrower, I think eventually you get that body on it. Like again, interestingly, it can only block creatures with flying, but
It will trade with that Archon of Emeria.
It comes down. There are so many good creatures now with flying that you want to block with a Brazen Borrower. And honestly, it could just say this creature can't block, and it would still be an excellent card because you're sending a bolt their way every turn.
Absolutely. So adventure is a really sweet mechanic. It's one of these things that they've kind of come up with in the last few years that kind of it undoes mulligans really, really well. Cameron very excited about his taiga. It's got the little cabin and the little gnome on it.
Gnome taiga.
So adventure does a really, really good job of undoing mulligans, right? So it's 1 card, but it does two cards worth of thing functionally. So when you're on a mulligan, it feels a lot better to be able to cast half of your card, maybe deal with the permanent, and then be able to cast your other half of your card as an attacker or a blocker.
You also get this option of squirreling it away, right? Like if they go to duress you or thoughtseize you more reasonably, you can respond to that by stomping one of their creatures or stomping their face eater, or by petty thefting a permanent back to their hand.
Yeah, and then they don't have the option to take it out of your hand.
Bingo. And the bodies are all respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we first saw the adventure creatures, it was without context. It was without kind of the rules understanding. And I thought it was modal. You got to choose. Oh, White Plume Adventurer coming down here. We talked about the initiative coming in from Ryan's side. Little did he know, Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man.
Yeah, if you saw there, Cameron just snapped his wrist when he tapped those lands. He was very excited to be able to put this down onto the battlefield. That Stoneforge Mystic not going to be able to attack through that White Plume Adventurer, and he will likely be able to untap with the initiative next turn.
Yeah. Ryan does have some hasty threats, but you can never... I don't think you play around it. Like, you go for it. If your opponent has nothing on board that they can push through with, you just send, right? You get that initiative in play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without question.
Even if Ryan can deal with that one creature, then it's still a 2 for, like, he's still going to have to spend a card on it.
Yep.
And then hope that Cam has nothing to back it up. Wait, so let's back up a little bit. You said the best counterspell that they said was Force of Will and not Daze?
Generally, the consensus in the room was that the best counterspell was Force of Will. Yes. And I remind you that look, it's a Daze. And
I want
I want to remind you that this was in a room full of Legacy players. So Mana Drain is in fact banned in Legacy, and so it didn't really go through anybody's mind.
yeah, it's just sort of like Counterspell's big brother that has all this beef on the backside. Like, even if you can't use that mana burn's not a thing anymore. And if you can use that mana, holy moly, talk about resources.
So Cameron was able to keep the initiative there. You see him put 2 counters on the White Plume Adventurer with the Forge, and he gets in sideways. I believe we are before blocks here. I think Ryan is thinking. You see him tapping his finger there. Perhaps he has like a Solitude or something like that that'll be able to take care of this White Plume Adventurer. Nope, it looks like he's just got to untap.
He's going to take the damage.
White Plume also untaps.
Yeah, that card's sort of messed up. Banned in Legacy also now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they got it. Got the zip zap.
So if you saw there, Cameron actually missed his 4th land drop, and Ryan has a Wasteland in play. I'm interested to see if he caught that, and he's going to be able to capitalize on it.
So I don't know that he actually missed it. He bounced it back with the Daze and then replayed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Still, though, I mean, Ryan is up to 5 lands on the other side of the battlefield. He's reaching for that Wasteland right now. It looks like he's going to take out the Rogger and Trio, maybe.
I still think that's the right play. Like, one way or another, you're still removing those resources.
Looks like Cameron's going to float a mana from that. Yeah, and I mean, he's got 4 lands to Cameron's 2 now.
Yeah. He can go to combat, remove that floating mana. Ew, rough.
Looks like probably the Fireside. Not sure though.
Fireside.
4 mana coming from Ryan. What is this going to be? It's a Restoration Angel.
In response to the fire.
What a blowout.
I think we've confirmed that flying underrated mechanic in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, what a blowout. He got to he got to use his Wasteland, and then he got to waste he got to waste Cameron's Fire. That was a huge tempo turn for Ryan.
Still does go to 4.
He flickers the Stoneforge Mystic, and that's going to put a Skull Clamp into his hand.
Yeah. And notably, he does have a 3/4 body in play now. 3/4 flyer that can sort of, I don't know if he's blocking with it, but he can definitely send with it.
Well, if Cameron has a removal spell here, he's going to be able to get rid of both of Ryan's creatures because Ryan will be forced to block at only 4 life.
Yeah, sort of a rough spot. That initiative doing a lot of work. That third room, man, 5 damage took from 9 to 4.
Yeah, the 5 damage is so backbreaking, especially when your back's against the wall in a situation like this. He's one removal spell away from going, wasteland you into fizzle your spell into oops, I died.
Yeah, that's oof. My kingdom for a kitchen fix, right? Like, listen, my life has been saved by so many Knights of Autumn and Kitchen Finks. I cannot tell you.
I do love a Kitchen Finks.
Yeah. Just good body.
There's a prismatic ending.
Yeah. Exiling that. It's going to send with the white blue.
Yeah, this'll force a chump block with the Restoration Angel here.
Yeah. Sort of tempoed Ryan out there, right? Like, got him with the Daze, got the initiative in play.
It has been very back and forth. What a game 1.
Yeah. Ryan like heavy with resources in hand too. He has what is this?
What is that card?
Oh, it's the card that lets you get an enchantment. Oh no, Fleetfoot Dancer. Fleetfoot Dancer. It's
Okay,
the
so
I talked to Ryan about this card. He didn't. He thought it had. He thought it had evasion.
So
Like,
I really like this heads up play here though. So
yeah.
he slams it down and he immediately turns it sideways.
Oh yeah.
He wants to gain that life and he knows that if he leaves it back to block, the potential for a removal spell to get it out of the way and then for him to just die to this onboard White Plume Adventure is very, very high. So
Oh yeah.
he just sends it in.
Yeah. It basically, it's a War Leader's Helix, right? Just do 4, gain 4. Unfortunately, that 4 went to a creature with 5 toughness.
It's still a heads up play.
Yeah.
A lot of players might just play that there and then pass and see what happens.
Yeah, you gotta slam because then there's a test, right? Like if they don't block with it, maybe he's got a Solitude in hand.
I believe this trigger from the Urza saga is currently on the stack. Ryan's deciding what to do with it, and it looks like he's just going to scoop them up.
Trigger on the stack, concede. I have conceded with many triggers on the stack. Interestingly, Ryan had already sort of gotten a lot of the Urza Saga package artifacts out of his deck at that point. Like he pulled the Shadow Spear, he pulled the Skull Clamp. I don't know what else was in the deck that was fetchable. Maybe just a Mox.
The Moxen, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe Cameron is on a mulligan to 6 here.
Ryan leading with the Agonjo, which is just a plains. We're got an Arid Mesa. Okay. Gonna see Cameron shuffle a whole bunch.
Yeah, the first few turns of basically every Canadian Highlander game just involves so much shuffling and searching your deck while you sculpt your hand and your mana base. This Thalia Guardian of Thraben is going to cause problems for Cameron.
Yeah, he's a spell-heavy deck. He is thick with spells. And even removing this, like, Thalia was sort of the original ward creature, right? Like, it just cost an extra mana to remove it.
I have been pinched by Thalia so many times. She is my least favorite creature.
Your least favorite creature because of what you're doing, not because of how unpowerful she is. She is not a scathed zombies.
I would have loved to have seen my favorite counter spell right there. That is Force Spike.
Force Spike, 1 mana. Is it counter unless they pay 1?
That is correct.
Yeah.
I love me a Force Spike.
Excellent card.
It's a solid answer for Thalia when you're on the draw.
I appreciate Force Spike. I'm a big fan of Mana Tithe myself, which is the correct version of Force Spike.
I mean, bros holding arms, right?
Nobody respects the untapped white.
If you're playing Creamur or Jeskai, you can play Force Spike and...
Is that a Porque no los dos from you?
I will absolutely run both Force Spikes.
Yeah. There was a conversation recently about how good, I think it was with Josh, where we were talking about Mental Misstep and how it counters, like, it's a very narrow counter spell, but it's mana positive.
It also counters like the best cards in the format.
Right. That was, so we both agreed Mental Misstep, excellent card, especially in this format, because there is a curve naturally in Magic, but in this case, in this format, that curve kind of fluctuates back and forth. Like, people are still playing 1 mana spells and 2 mana spells and turn 6 and 7.
Yeah. Yes.
We don't stop.
Yes. So when in your 100 card deck, you know, you can build your curve however you want to.
Yeah.
But you're not locked into your, 16 1-drops, 12 2-drops, yada 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 yada.
And we're just getting in with Thalia.
Thalia is gonna get sideways.
like the top end of any deck really at this point is sort of 4 drops for the initiative creatures for a lot of decks. Or in the case of like a control deck, you know, you can kind of go up to 4 and 5. And that's a good card. You love this card, Blake.
I do love Voice of Resurgence. It was the original 3 fairy.
This feels very much like a 1-2 punch.
Look at this 1-2 punch from Ryan here. There's no way that Cameron is going to be able to do anything impactful here.
You say that, but there is a lot of counterplay. There's a lot of creature-based counterplay from Cam.
Okay, Cameron is way better at Magic than me, but I would just immediately lose this game.
You just scoop it up immediately.
No, but I wouldn't scoop it up, but I would immediately lose this game. That's a Swords to Plowshare is going to take care of that Voice of Resurgence.
That's a Japanese Swords to Plowshares. He paid 2 mana for that, unfortunately, not removing Thalia. The correct removal for a Voice of Resurgence, so he doesn't get the token.
It's kind of unfortunate here, honestly, because I think the bigger problem is Thalia. I don't know how many counter spells he has in his hands, but a Caves of Chaos Adventurer, it is just haymaker after haymaker from Ryan here. It's like he built this deck to prey on blue tempo decks.
Yeah. And like Cam has access to 1 mana here, has access to potentially Daze as his only out, because he could bounce an island, pay the 1 mana tax from Thalia.
Yep.
Otherwise, it would be great? A Force Spike right there. If he had that Force
once again.
It's full circle. Got a nice roundabout coming back around.
I have a hard time not putting that card into my decks, because every time I draw it, every time I cast it, it's like, cool 4 mana thing. Bye.
Yeah, people tap out a lot. Like, especially these initiative decks and non-blue decks.
Yeah.
They're going to want to tap out on their turn every turn.
Yep.
And if you want to double spell, that's fine. Counter the second thing.
Yep.
Most people will lead with the less important spell
and
then wait to see you like a test.
Yep.
And then they tap out for the good thing.
Absolutely.
And then you get to get them. But at this point, like, the initiative making a lot of splash in both games for different players, right? Like,
yes.
Ryan now definitely going to make his 5th land drop next turn. Hasn't deployed a lot of non-land cards, so I'm sort of assuming that there's some action in his hand.
I love Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I think it's probably my favorite of the initiative creatures. The fact that it's a 5/3 trampler combined with every time you turn it sideways, you get to take the top card of your deck and you can play that this turn. I love this card.
Why did they give it evasion?
Because they wanted it to be sweet.
I guess. I mean, it is. Well done. If the goal was to make it sweet, they really nailed it.
Seasoned Dungeoneer is also really, really cool in the fact that whenever it attacks, it gets to explore. But I just like Caves of Chaos Adventurer. It doesn't care what the top card of your deck is. You get to draw it and play it anyway.
Oh yeah, it's a very red initiative card where, like,
Cameron pointing at Thalia there. I think he's signaling that this card has ruined his game.
It honestly, he may have wanted to have targeted that one with his removal instead of
and that's kind of what I was saying. It's like Swords to Plowshares is a really easy answer to Voice of Resurgence, but I think that Thalia is causing him more problems.
Oh yeah, he might have gotten lost in the sauce.
It is possible that he's holding a grip full of counter magic, in which case Voice of Resurgence looks pretty bad to play across from.
Yeah.
But a Tarmogoyf going to come down here, and I think that's just it's just a 2/3. Yeah.
Land instant.
Just a 2/3. So
Voice got exiled.
I hope he puts the counters on Thalia.
We'll see.
Yes.
And
okay.
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, because now it's a 4/3 first strike.
Yep.
So there's no good blocks here. Like, it doesn't matter how Cam blocks, he's losing the Tarmogoyf, and he's not taking out.
Yep, and he has to block here, right? Because if he doesn't block, then the next room of the dungeon kills him next turn.
Correct. unless Cam can somehow take out not block, take out both creatures, attack in and take the initiative. That would be the one way to do it. He'd have to run.
There's a questing beast, and I do believe this game is over, folks.
If there is a more common term than questing beast, this game is over. I've been on the receiving end of many questing beasts. Like they just come down in end games.
Without looking, what is questing beast's oracle text?
It is a 4-mana legendary beast. It is a 4/4 with haste, vigilance, and death touch. It says combat damage from creatures you control cannot be prevented, and if questing beast deals combat damage to a player, you may have it deal that much damage to a planeswalker that player controls. I know every single word on this card because it has killed me a lot.
You don't, though, because you missed the fact that it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
I forgot it has the weirdest evasion. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite evasions. Unjumpable.
I think Cameron shows him the fury there and looks like he's going to scoop him up. So we'll go. Yeah. We will get a game 3. Wow, that Naya deck is just. If you just like attacking with creatures, very large creatures.
Yeah, a lot of just beef, right? Like it reminds me of the Gruul Monsters deck, but with all the support that white gives you and all the initiative creatures that white gives you. And I'm assuming that Ryan runs some amount of white removal, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the appeal to playing Naya, right? You get the removal of white and red.
Yeah, the removal, the ability for red to go over the top with the burn spells. Just the creature quality is so high with red and green.
You get to put lightning bolt, swords to plowshares, Thalia, questing beast. Who doesn't love a Naya deck?
Berserk if you're not a coward.
I see what you did there.
Man, I haven't seen a Berserk in so long. I really want to see somebody cast it.
What do you think is the best one drop that's ever been printed?
It's Deathrite Shaman. It's not close.
I also agree. It's Deathrite Shaman, and it's not even close. Deathrite Shaman can kill you through a blocker.
Monkey gets to ramp you also, but
not if they have a blocker. He doesn't.
What if they have a Lana or elves? I did have the unfortunate situation where I was on the play, and my opponent played a monkey on his first turn, and then on my second turn, I got to play a what is it? The 0/2 mana dork that you can untap by putting a -1/-1 counter on it. I should.
Oh, Devoted Druid,
which is a very bad blocker for monkey. He did get to eat the top card of my deck.
Womp womp.
Oh yeah, but Deathrite Shaman, holy moly, so good. Why is it a 2 toughness and it has power? And it eats other people's graveyards, so kind of like
yeah, it's ramp, it's reach, it's interaction. The card is absolutely absurd.
You can go the distance with it too, like just exiling spells out of your opponent's graveyard. Just like a couple turns, it's sort of the initiative before the initiative, or that inevitability of like every turn you're going to take 2, or like a shielded, right? Like inevitability. What if Shieldred only 1 mana?
Looks like he's going to put the clamp on the Deathrite Shaman here. He is
I like that.
It's bold.
It disincentivizes Cam from killing it without an exile spell, because like
that's true.
Refuel, and it's just like a good attacker. There's no real meat in the graveyard yet, so like nothing to eat. Oh, gonna come in and
looks like a preordain.
Cam's sort of setting up another turn. Top, bottom, typical Cam.
Did you just shot call?
Oh yeah. I've played against this man many times.
What if they're both? What if they're both bad? Does he still go top bottom?
Cannot resist one of the two cards on the top. I don't believe I've ever seen him top. I've seen Josh top, but Cam generally is a top bottom kind of guy, where he'll send one and just pick two. Like he kind of treats it like a what is it, the sleight of hand, where he's just getting two top cards.
Sure.
You can't let them both go.
I love it. I love a top.
Oh, if you can, baby, because it's also a mind game, right? Like your opponent knows you topped.
Cameron is already down to 13 life from this 2-power Deathrite Shaman.
And his opponent sort of like Ryan boldly playing the Ancient Tomb, just like signaling that he's going to have unlimited access to mana, and like unwilling to commit anything else to the board too. So like,
third path Iconoclast.
Or no, yeah, third path. Got the Donald Duck there. You know why we call him Donald Duck, right?
I have no idea.
The third path Iconoclast.
You did not.
Oh yeah, third path Iconoclast. What is? Oh, he countered it. Yep, countered the stomp. made the 1/1 soldier artifact token.
Oh my goodness.
The Yotan infantry. Couldn't remember Devoted Druid. Remembering Yotan infantry. The model for the card on the artifact soldier.
Yep.
That's some boomer magic.
I thought it was pronounced Yoshian. Isn't it pronounced Yoshian?
It's entirely possible. I was like 11 when that card came out. Please don't pull it up.
I don't even know if I can spell it. It's Yotian. Yeah, I think.
Kid, you're just like, yeah, Yotian.
Whoa! Eldritch Evolution.
Oh my gosh! So he's gonna get to draw 2. He's gonna get a 3 mana card.
Don't we resolve the Eldritch Evolution before we draw?
Sack goes on stack. Is the sacrificing a part of the cost?
Let me read Eldritch Evolution.
I think sacking is part of the cost. So
it probably is.
So yeah, in that case, Eldritch Evolution.
It is. It is an additional cost. So yes, he does draw and then search.
So yeah. It's the. It's always a question. Although it doesn't, unless you know the position of things, it doesn't really matter unless you draw the card you want to get.
Deathrite Shaman gets turned into my favorite card from 2022. That's Lelia the Blade Reforged.
She is quite good. She get big. I don't know if that was I don't know what kind of 3-drops he has in the deck necessarily. Makes me wonder what was on top of the deck or in his hand that he goes, okay, I have this inevitability with this Deathrite Shaman. You're at 13. I'm going to go for something bigger. And potentially get blown up. And we're going to bolt. Ooh, actually, not bad.
I might have to sleeve up this Naya deck. It just looks so sweet.
It's very quick.
It's like, it's no bad cards, Naya.
Yeah.
There's just no bad cards in this deck.
And it has a lot of fast mana. It really leverages the Ancient Tomb land. Does he have City of Traders in this or just Ancient Tomb?
Yes, he does have City of Traders.
Okay.
I remember that because he was saying that he doesn't know if he likes it or not. He likes the Ancient Tomb, but he doesn't know about the City of Traders.
I think it provides some amount of temporary acceleration. Oh, we got an Iggy coming in. This is, it's a good board on Ryan's side, right? We've seen a lot of action. Cam down to 13 now. If he has any amount of removal, I think he has some ability to stabilize. And there's that sleight of hand.
What do you think he's going to do with it?
Top, bottom? Oh, one in hand, one on bottom, baby. Typical Cam.
There's an Ancestral Recall.
So now Cam's sort of reloaded, right? So at this point, what really matters is what Cam drew off the top. If it was triple land, he's sort of at the mercy of the top deck. He could have gotten some real gas. He could have gotten some lands. And now we kind of just have to wait and see.
It does look like he has a ton of cards in his hand. That stack that he just laid down on the table there looks very thick.
Yeah, he the, you'll notice that he played that instant on his own term. There are very few situations, I think, in which you wait to cast the ancestral recall, right? Like you just cast it right away.
Yeah, especially when your back's up against the wall. You know, he's at a deficit life total. He's staring at a very good threat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
With a
the
good support creature too.
the skull clamp is going to start doing things too, if nothing
Mm-hmm.
else.
Like I don't. I think if he doesn't need that mana, he doesn't need the additional damage. He just pops Iggy, uses itself to pay for the equip cost, and just draws a couple extra cards.
Yeah, Cameron is definitely gonna need some help.
He's ahead. I think he's. I don't know what kind of cards are in Ryan's hand. It doesn't feel
Well,
like
we're
much
gonna find
has.
out because here's a Gataxian probe.
Oh, we got a Goyf and a Renin 6. Ooh, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good threats, both of those. Especially if he can defend that Renin 6. Talk about inevitability, right? He can double spell next turn, lay down both. Cam's in some trouble here.
An unholy heat's gonna take out
Okay,
the.
good.
Let's
Okay,
see. I see land, instant
land
sorcery creature. Yep.
creature. Yep, he has delirium. There was no stopping that, and he knew that Ryan didn't have any way to stop it anyway. Like no real flickers, and he's tapped out. Um, Ryan does have some good threats in the graveyard still, so. And with a delirium, you know that Goyf's going to come down with as a 4/5, right? I don't think Ryan has any additional card types in his graveyard.
Um,
Maybe one more. Might have an artifact.
I don't believe so. I don't see any artifacts. I believe that the Goyf will just be a 4/5.
No, Lele is a spirit, not an artifact. Yeah.
No, she's just a creature.
Yeah. I keep on thinking Breya's Apprentice. They're sort of similar cards.
Oh yeah, they do have a similar look.
Ryan trying to figure out what he's doing with his mana here. Taking 2.
So here's 2 mana. The Ignoble Hierarch will make 3 mana.
Okay.
So he'll have a colored mana and 2 colorless in his pool. Looks like he's using a colorless to equip the Ignoble Hierarch.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a colored mana and a colorless floating.
Yep. We don't know what. It's a Jund.
Two cards coming. So he's still floating a colored mana. He tapped that Savannah for something.
He's probably floating a red then for the Renin 6.
Sure.
Red green. There's a Renin 6.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think.
Ren and 6 going to come down.
And
That is a Spell Pierce.
Spell Pierce. Yeah, unfortunately for him, Cam's got this handful of handful of spells. He's gonna equip the Skull Clamp to invert Tarmogoyf. The one time that Goyfs won't bounce off each other.
Yes, this Goyf will trade with other Goyfs now.
Unheard of Goyf on Goyf action.
Whoa.
Cam now at 10 life, has he stabilized?
It is looking worse for Ryan all the time, I will say that. 10 life is a lot of life to work with, and he just untaps and he passes back to Ryan here. So he's got a handful of reactive spells.
Yeah. And this Goyf represents a 2-turn clock, right?
Yep, I believe it is a 5/4 right now.
Yeah. It's gonna send.
Flashing in a Solitude. Yikes.
Exile that.
Guy,
Ryan's life total sort of inconsequential. Does not get to draw.
depending on what the follow-up is here, I would think that Cameron is probably stabilized. It looks like in a Braid,
Yeah. Plays so good you hand out packs.
Solitude's gonna bite the dust. Cam's gonna untap. Oh, what a nail biter. I'm still not sure.
Both players have a lot of wiggle room now, right? The board is empty. They're both sort of at stable life totals.
That's
Cam does
gonna
have more cards in hand.
that's gonna favor Cameron a lot. It looks like a territorial Kavu.
Avu.
This is a card. This is a card that I was not expecting out of the Creamur decks, like at all.
I picked one up yesterday, honestly. I was like, this card seems like it's gonna do good work, even in like a 2-color deck.
Yeah, I have one, and I had never actually read it until a few days ago. I knew that it was, like a zoo kind of thing, but that's not really the style of deck that I play. So I never actually read this card, and it's a doozy.
Yeah, it does everything. We got Smuggies coming down. Unfortunately, no creature to animate it.
Yeah, it just looks like Ryan is kind of out of gas here. The cards that he has drawn have not really been able to impact the board anyway.
I've definitely run into the situation with like Skull Clamp and Smuggler's Copter specifically. And then we've got a loose focus.
Yeah, so lose focus looks like he replicated it twice. So
yeah. Did I tell you that? So I had a Devoted Druid in play on Monday, and Josh did a loose focus on my White Plume adventure, and I was able to pay for it because he didn't realize that I could untap with the Devoted Druid.
that you can make 2 mana with a Devoted Druid.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was.
It was the Rubbins.
Yeah. Devoted Druid, just making 2 mana sometimes, just a Soul Ring is totally fine. So now Cam sort of on the beatdown, right? Like he's got the ability to start exiling some cards from graveyards, or he can start rummaging, and he has enough cards in hand that rummage can just do some work. And this Kavu's a 4/4, right?
Yes, Kavu is a 4/4. And it's going to eat a card every turn, which looks to be about a 5-turn clock. Tarmogoyf going to hit the board. I think this Tarmogoyf is a 5/6 now because we added the Smuggler's Copter to the graveyard.
Yep, we did indeed.
So 9 power, we're looking at a 2-turn clock here. Ryan is running out of time really quickly. Something that I just love about the Creamur deck is its ability to just turn the corner.
We saw Thalia there, a little late.
Its ability to just turn the corner. For very few mana investment right there, he just put a 2-turn clock on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think people underestimate Goyf still. Like, it dies to a decent amount of removal, but
as do most other 2-mana threats.
Yeah. Like this Kavu dies, the Goyf dies. It doesn't matter if they don't have the removal in hand. You have to present it. Like, you can't just wait around seeing if your creature's going to die or be encountered. Sometimes you just got to slam it and go.
Your Goyf can be a 9/10 now too. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this. He's paying 2 life to equip the Thalia there, and it's going to eat a stomp. But paying the 2 life to equip that there, he was trying to conserve his colored mana, hoping that he could just draw something off the top of his deck. But it just seems really desperate to me. We could probably hold off, use the Thalia as a blocker, try to draw at least 1 more natural draw step. I don't know if that was worth paying the 2 life for.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's rough because Cam does have so much interaction in hand right now. Any kind of removal really stones in there. And
So
what are we doing?
Thought Scour is going to flip over a Mystic Sanctuary and a Lightning Bolt. Another card in hand for Cam, and it looks like we're getting in there for 9.
So Ryan sort of, and he's going to exile a card. Cam likes all the cards in his hand right now. So if this connects, Ryan basically has 1 draw step to deal with 2 threats, right? Because he's going to go down to a life total where he has to remove at least one of these 2 creatures. And then Cam still has the Bone Crusher Giant he can cast next turn.
Yep.
Oof. So much value out of Cam's side.
What's it going to be? Looks like 1, 2,
such a good start too.
3, 4, 5 mana.
Ooh.
That's a Thrun.
Run the last troll.
Thrun, my boy.
And unfortunately did tap both of his green sources for that, or all three of his green sources, so he can't regenerate it. But that's rough.
He's trying to figure out a way right now where he can cast it, equip it, and leave up regeneration.
Yeah, I think you just got to pay the Ancient Tomb.
Well, he doesn't have he would need one more mana total to be able to do this.
It's a good draw. I like this. I like this creature for the board state.
Yeah, I mean, if it had the ability to regenerate it, it does give him at least one more draw step.
And Ryan, I'm assuming, is running all this removal. We just haven't seen any of it.
He mulliganed, and then he kind of drew a string of bad cards through the middle of the game there that didn't really accomplish much. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not real high on the Smuggler's Copter at all.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. You convinced me to cut it from a couple decks.
Yeah, I don't really think that the card is super great.
Yeah. And tapping that green mana down.
So, well, I mean, without the ability to regenerate here, there's an Omnath without the
boss monster.
It's what?
The boss monster, baby. It's all the colors of the deck. It's a legendary creature, and it it's like, all right, so commander, you have your commander, but in Canadian Highlander, you have a card in your deck that represents like the spirit of the deck.
Oh, you don't know how happy you just made me.
Like, it's the reason I'll never cut Siege Rhino from Abzan, or like you run like Savage Knuckleblade and Temur. Is it the best card? Probably not, but it's like the spirit, right?
So the boss monsters of my decks then are Ojutai, Dragonlord Ojutai.
Oh yeah.
And Atraxa.
Oh.
Those are my boss monsters.
If there was a card that really represented the spirit of your playstyle, Atraxa's it.
It is Atraxa, most definitely.
It's like greedy mana, it's card advantage, and it's a beefy body.
Yeah, it is literally me. So Thrun did die there. Ryan drew a couple of cards. It looks like the Territorial Kavu did trade in combat with that Thrun. He's basically gonna need a miracle here.
Yeah, Cam getting to play a land next turn is just gonna give him extra value. Like the fact that Omnath just gives you so much additional value.
He tapped the Ancient Tomb to go out on his own terms. Respect.
Love it.
Wow. What a game.
Man, great game from both of these players. Really solid. Oh.
Absolutely incredible. I never get tired of watching Canadian Highlander.
Yeah. The games are always different every time, and these two.
Ooh, look, he's got the invention monkey. That's nice.
Not an artifact. Just fancy.
It's a statue.
Is it?
Yeah, I think that's the intent there.
Oh, okay.
Is the art is supposed to evoke a statue, which makes the invention border make sense because it's a statue.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in. I love it.
Awesome. Well, if you want more Canadian Highlander content, please subscribe to the Old Cranky Man YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that notification button so that we get to annoy you every time we upload a video. And we'll definitely see you guys in the next one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.